I've owned 335s and 335 style guitars, but I've never owned the smaller 339 style. Now, I did play the Gibson 339 at a shop in Canada when I was doing dates in that country, and I have to admit I didn't really love that particular example. But of course, a sample size of 1 is hardly enough to justify staying away. Now, I do love full-size semi-hollows, but not everyone is comfortable with them. So I'm taking another look at the downsized 14-inch semi-hollow. But this time, I'm looking at Eastman's version, the T484. Well, every Eastman I've featured has been very well built, and this one is no exception. The body is maple laminate, and the neck is maple as well. Now, the ivory-colored binding is cleanly executed, and the fretwork and setup are very nicely done. I did have to loosen the truss rod a little bit to get clean bends in the upper registers, but nothing unusual about that. I was easily able to set the action to my preferred 1.5 millimeters treble and 1.75 bass, and now it's ready to go. The pickups and hardware are pretty much identical to the T486 I looked at a while back, and it's all top quality. Godot bridge and tailpiece, Switchcraft switch and output jack, CTS audio taper pots. Now, my only quibble with this one, as well as the T386 and T486, is the use of Pingwell tuners. Now, they do work fine and they look good as well, so it's not really much of a complaint. It's just that with everything else being absolutely top quality Godot, well, I think a few bucks more for Godot tuners would be a good move. Now, this model shares the same Seymour Duncan pickups as the T486. A jazz in the neck and a 59 in the bridge. I have to admit I've never used that exact combination until I played the T486, and I like it a lot in the semi-hollow. They have a sweetness that complements the design nicely. Now, resistance is a vintage-like 7.5 k ohms for the jazz, and the bridge 59 measures a slightly hotter 8.2. Now, the neck carve is pretty reminiscent of the larger models as well. Though, like Gibson's, the necks on Eastman guitars do tend to vary slightly. But this is the usual even C shape with a very average depth of 0.83 inches or about 21 millimeters at the first fret and 0.9 inches or 23 millimeters at the 12th. Also typical of the line, width at the nut is fairly wide, 1.72 inch or 44 millimeters. Now, as I've said before, the slightly wider nut is something I really enjoy about the Eastman hollow bodies and semi-hollows, but some may find it off-putting. If you're in the second group, you might want to be aware their solid bodies typically have a more Gibson-like 1.68 inch or 43 millimeter nut width. Now, the nut itself is bone and is nicely shaped and almost perfectly slotted. now I'm wishing I had the T486 to compare. Because here's the thing. The Gibson ES339 I tried sounded fine, but it didn't seem to respond like a 335. Now again, sample size of 1, and I'm sure they're going to vary. So I may have to try some others and reevaluate. But that guitar reminded me more of a chambered guitar than a big semi-hollow. And that's what I expected with this Eastman. But this one does seem to have more of the classic semi-hollow response. Still not quite up to what you get from a 16-inch semi, but pretty close. Of course, this combination of pickups is likely to be reminding me of the T486 as well, but the feel doesn't seem far off. I'd say if you're interested in these smaller 14-inch semi-hollows, this one is certainly worth considering. It's not the least expensive one on the market, but it compares favorably with guitars costing twice the price. So in that sense, it's still a very good value. Well, I hope you enjoyed today's video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, which helps keep the channel going. And I will see you again very soon.